Okay. Get your ass into your chair, sit down, get your cup of coffee or cup of tea, and then sit right down and I'll tell you a story. Welcome, this is the weekend video, and I am your host, Enda Glynn here from bullwaves.org, and I want to rip apart this market and let's see if we can come up with something together. Okay, we're going to go through the charts and dive right in and see what sense we can make of it. Okay, the detractors out there will say you'll make no sense of it. Okay, fair enough. Let's start with the FX market. This is euro dollar and the 4-hour chart, and then we'll move on to the hourly chart. One of you guys was mentioning about the image quality recently. Yes, I have noted that, and I'm working on it. And hopefully, actually, tonight it'll be improved in the nightly update. Okay. 4-hour chart, euro dollar. I am tracking two possible outcomes here, as usual. The current operating wave count views wave 2 here. This little ditty here in green as complete. And now we are working on a decline into a third wave. So there is nothing to detract from that wave count as of yet. I know I've been tempted or am being tempted by the evil one to switch my allegiance, but that has not happened so far. The alternate count is sitting right there, and it will take a couple of significant moves in order to trigger that wave count. But again, it's there and it cannot be ruled out as of yet. Okay. So far, we have 3 waves up. We have possible leading diagonal into wave 1, and then 3 waves up into a possible wave 2 in place, and now the market is moving lower again. So we were expecting the market to move lower. The market is moving lower. The wave count is explaining that so far, and until we get some sort of significant divergence away from the current count, then I'm just going to stick with it. With the caveat of the alternate count being there in the background. Okay, here is the hourly chart, and you can see there's the alternate wave A. So we've got 3 waves up, so 3 waves off the low back here. Excuse me. 3 waves off the low back here into the top of wave 2. And now we could be moving down into, like, this could be a series of 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. That's a possibility as well. I don't like these. I don't like. If I was to move this low here up by 1 degree, I don't like the size comparison between the previous wave C here. So you can see it's traveled, 110 up to 112.40, let's say. So about 240 points, and then we only have about 120 points there. So it's half the size again of the previous wave C, and hence the reason I'm kind of not in favor of that as a wave 1 down. It's not impossible, but for the moment I don't like it. We're moving down in a trend channel, and that's kind of the main hint towards the alternate count right now. So if I was to put that just down there, move that out of the way, declutter a bit. Okay, so the reason why the alternate count is still hanging around is because we're moving down in a trend channel. So far, we've pretty much traced out 3 waves. This could be 3 waves down in A, 3 waves up in B, and then possible 5 waves unfolding in wave C. But like I said, the the main operating wave count is calling for a decline anyway, so I don't think there's any point in switching from it right now. If we were to get an impulsive spike higher and we were to break that 111.70 level again, that would hint strongly towards the alternate count. Okay, so for the moment and for next week, I'm going to keep concentrating on the downside with a possible wave 3 of 1 underway, and by the end of next week, we would hope to have 5 waves down in wave 1 complete. Again, the caveat being 111.70, so that level has got to hold. Okay, move on. Pound dollar. Excuse me. I was expecting a move higher this week, back up towards that trend channel. We haven't got that trend channel, that rally into the top of the trend channel yet. We still have 5 waves down, working on a possible 3 waves up at the moment, with an alternate count in there, obviously. Okay, so it looks like we've got a completed correction in wave 2, and now we're moving down into a large degree wave 3. So it should take a significant amount of time to complete. Okay, so cable, the hourly chart, we've got 5 waves down in wave 1, A, B, and possible C wave underway. So far, here is the kind of conundrum, let's say, in cable. So far, we have well, either 3 or 5 up in wave A, depends on how you want to count that. A very good clear 3-wave pattern there down in a B wave, and now wave C underway. But wave C just hasn't unfolded impulsively yet, so we haven't got 5 waves up yet. This could be some sort of wave 1, 2, and maybe we're starting wave 3. So this could be wave 1, 2, maybe 3, 4, 5, and then we might extend higher in wave C. It's not looking likely like at the moment, is it? So we've had a rally off wave B. We did have a break of the interim spike there, 131.20, but now we're selling off again today. So what could be happening here? Well, we could have some sort of leading diagonal here, a wedge maybe, into a wave 1 down. And if this is a 3-wave corrective move higher, well, then this could be a second wave. So there is a chance that we move lower significantly next week. For that to happen, this high today, what was today's high? 121.72. That high would have to hold, and we'd have to break below that previous wave B here. So 129.60 would have to break that level in 5 waves. So for early next week, for Monday, we've still got the option of this larger 3-wave move up in wave 2. So this could still materialize. So we'll have to watch that. If we get a push back down below 129.60, so that's about 100 points. If we get a spike lower, a break of that 129.60 level, well, actually, I'll push that down to the wave below itself. So that'd be 129.55, let's say. And it looks like that if it looks like we are going to continue that way, well, then we'll probably move into this alternate count here, and we will start charting wave 3 down. So in the larger picture, we have wave 3 on our mind anyway. So if this larger wave 2 unfolds, then we'll start looking down in wave 3. But for the moment, I think it's worth calling that forward and with an alternate count, and exploring the idea of a decline into wave 3 sooner than I might have thought. Okay, so that is cable. dollar yen. It looks like, given the recent action, that we have this large triangle that I've been tracking forever and a day complete, and now we are moving up in an impulse pattern to begin a large degree wave C. Of course, the daily chart there, it doesn't really give you much more. So the idea being that this wave C, so this would be wave B, so wave C would be up here somewhere. Wave C would continue higher in 5 waves, and a minimum target 125.89 would be the top of the previous structure. So that's that's what's on the cards. Nobody wants to believe me, but that's what the pattern seems to be looking at for the moment. Anyway, the 4-hour chart, you can see that we've had a nice push higher. We've had 3 waves in wave E, and we're pushing higher, 5 waves up, and possible 3 waves down, if not completing right now. Okay, so the hourly chart is showing this impulsive move, 5 waves up in wave 1. You could call this the high of wave 1 too, depending on how you see. This action was so quick, it's hard to kind of pull it apart really. If this was the high of wave 1, then we're moving lower in a flat. This is probably 3 waves down in A, then some sort of B wave, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can also count this as, let's say, a strange wave 1. Still got 5 waves in it there. It's got wave 1, some sort of second wave, wave 3, wave 1, 2, 3, little correction, wave 4, and then pop into wave 5 of 1. This could be an expanded, or sorry, running flat wave 2. And then wave 3 down, 3 waves up in wave 4, and then selling off today in wave 5. We're probably close to completing wave 5. It's kind of a flip of a coin right now. We're coming up to, we've hit the 32% retracement. If we push into that kind of band here, this between 32 and 50% retracement, and we return higher again, that would indicate to me that this correction is complete and that we're moving higher into wave 1 of 3. Okay, so early next week we'll be looking for this wave 2 to complete and wave 3 to begin. And that's the outlook. Okay, so the Dow 4-hour chart, we're kind of coming off the high. I don't think we've developed anything impulsively just yet, although we're selling down again today. There is a way of viewing this that could clear this up, and I'll get into that in a second. The all-time high last week, I think, was at 29,373 or something like that. That could have also completed an ending diagonal here. I've been looking at this wave today, and if I was to break that out, I'll do some drawing here, if this works. Talk amongst yourselves there. It's not working. Oh, why would it? Okay. Oh, it is. All right. If I was to call this an ending diagonal, it would be 3 waves up in A, some sort of maybe B wave here, or sorry, 3 waves up in 1. Excuse me. 3 waves down in 2. 3 waves up in 3. 3 down in 4. 3 up in 5. So that would be 5 individual moves of 3 waves each, and that is very much a possibility also, given the fact that we have a kind of an accumulation of 3 wave moves. It does kind of it fits it. I'm not going to kind of pin my hat to that, but it does fit. And if that's the case, well, that's an ending diagonal. That's the final move, and then we should be moving lower anyway. But I'll just have to wait for that to kind of play out. I've been kind of hands off on stocks this week. Just wait for an impulsive pattern down to trace itself out, and if we get that, then we can start really um, looking for that inevitable kind of corrective lower high to work down into a third wave. Let's get into the hourly chart here. I know I'm kind of stumbling at the moment in my mind. Okay, so I've got this alternate count here for wave 5 as well. I am not working with that ending diagonal theory right now at the moment, but I have got another alternate count here for wave 5 in gray. So that could be a 1, possible 2 here, 3, 4, and maybe 5. Although this sharp move lower today or this evening um, might begin to rule that out. But for the moment, the main focus is still on building a 5-wave move lower. I know that everybody's sick of me saying that, but it is what it is. Once that happens, once we have a reasonable contender for wave 2 here, that will be the kind of point to start working into the market on the downside. Until that point, I think it's still a hands-off scenario. And I know we have a long way to travel before we start breaking these previous lows, but that's just the way the market is. We have to fall 1,000 points before we can break this previous fourth wave, and if that's the case, it has to happen in a 5-wave pattern also. So we've got a couple of let's say waypoints that we have to get through before diving headlong into the downside again. Okay, next week I do want to see this initial decline continue, and I would like to see it trace out 5 waves. There's nothing else really that can be said about that. Apart from one final thing, there's nothing else that can be said apart from this final thing, and then nothing else can be said. You can see the high of I think Wednesday. It was a failed rally. That high could be a failed fifth wave, and if that was a failed fifth wave, it would kind of clean up the decline and retracement here into something more discernible, like a 5-wave decline off the high, even though it's a failed high. So this could be wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then moving down 5 waves down off that in a 1, 2 pattern. So keep that at the back of your hat as well. That could possibly, especially if we start, if we trace 5 waves down off this lower high, that would indicate the possibility that that is a failed fifth wave, and that we have an impulse pattern tracing out off that failed fifth wave. Okay, for next week, still, hands off. Let's see if we can build 5 waves down. Okay. Let's get on to crude oil, or sorry, gold. We have, after the rally over the last over the previous month, we have an extended correction of that rally. So there are a few possibilities emerging as to what's going on here. One possibility that I do like, which I'm going to have to include for tonight, is the idea that this could be a wave 1, 2. Well, there's two scenarios, let's say. We could have wave 1 and 2 complete, and now we're beginning to move higher into a third wave. Or we have 3 waves down in A, 3 waves up in B, and then we move lower into wave C sometime next week. But for the moment, we're still looking bullish. If this trend channel was filled in wave 5, we'd be looking somewhere up around 1700 for wave 5 of wave 3. And then we'd look for a correction again in wave 4 red. So I'm still looking to the upside, and with the idea that we are building a larger fifth wave out of the recent correction. Okay, let's get into the hourly chart here. You can see that alternate count I've shown here. 3 waves down, maybe in an alternate A, 3 waves up, possibly in an alternate B, and then we would, if we got a failure of this rally and a break of this 1546 low again, then we would trigger this alternate count here, and we'd probably look for a decline back into about 1511 or 1500 again. But for the moment, we're moving higher, and this could be, another a series of 1-2 patterns before we break out into a third wave up. That's up for the market to decide next week. We've only had a partial retracement of the previous decline, so we cannot really confirm that wave 3 in blue here has begun until we get a breakout above this wave 1 here. So that's a good bit up at the moment. That's 1611. So like I said, medium to long term, I'm still quite bullish, and the caveat being that this low here at 1546 should hold. But for now, I've kind of switched to this. Today's action did force a slight change, or a slight kind of turn or into the previous alternate count. So I'm kind of switching between alternates at the moment, given on the action that's happening. I've always been bullish, but let's see how this particular rally develops. And we've got the alternate count there, which will allow for one last decline in wave 2. Okay, let's get into crude oil. The long-term decline that I've been expecting into wave 3 seems to be accelerating at a pace. And of course, when I was talking about the top of a correction up here, people were saying to me that I was an idiot, that crude oil is going to rally forever. And I did not expect. Obviously, I didn't expect it to rally that much, but so be it. It's pretty much retraced most of that rally right now. But the problem I'm having now is how do we correctly label this decline? Is this a series of 1-2s, which I'm kind of favoring at the moment, within wave 3? And if that's the case, what degree are those 1-2s at? I was expecting something a little bit more punchy to happen here as a correction in a second wave, but we didn't get that, and we just continue to fall. So be it. You got to deal with what's on the table. Okay, you can see that high there, the previous wave 2, and now we're moving lower. I've shown that in wave 1 in gray, wave 1 possible expanded flat wave 2, and now we're moving down again in to begin wave 3. This could be, I'm going to switch alternates here. Switch this alternate around. This could be 1 degree higher, wave 1 and 2, and this could be wave 1 and 2 in gray. And then you would call this, that's a pretty decent 5-wave pattern here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into the lows, and we're hitting support again. We've broken that previous B-wave support, by the way, and now we're hitting these kind of consolidation levels and interim lows again at $55, or sorry, $54. So If this is a series of 1-2s, we'll decide by next week which is the correct degree. It doesn't particularly matter right now. What does matter is what happens after this 5-wave decline. A 3-wave correction back up to that previous shoulder there in around the 57.40 level in 3 waves, and then a decline into a 3rd wave would be fairly ideal. You don't always get what's ideal, but that's what I'll be looking for next week. Some sort of a correction in a 2nd wave again at a lower degree, and then move down into a longer term 3rd wave. Larger view, larger scale. I think we are, like, if crude oil isn't pointing towards a significant bear market developing, well then I don't know what is. Um, I mean, if this is wave 3 down, we could be heading back down into the 30s fairly soon. Okay, so for next week, we're going to get a continuation probably of this 3rd wave down, but we have some sort of interim correction to happen first. Okay, let's get into the S&P, and then we'll do silver. S&P 500 4-hour. So again, charting a top, possible top in wave 5 in blue there, and this trend channel has been filled. We slowed in momentum significantly off that high, and now we seem to be selling with a reasonable amount of strength at the moment. I mean, it's the most selling we've had in over a month now. So we'll take it if you get it. There's definitely been a divergence, however kind of muted it's been in the last while. Let's say out of this triangle here, the actual height of or the peak in momentum happened in this wave D here of the triangle. So ever since then, we've actually been creating lower lows, or sorry, lower highs in MACD and lower highs more or less in RSI. How should that kind of materialize in the price? Eventually, momentum slowdown will flip the price. It will flip the trend eventually. But what we're waiting for is that to materialize in the price itself. Okay, so let's get into the hourly chart. If wave 5 in blue is complete, well then we should have a complete wave 5 in green, and we should have 5 waves up complete in wave 5 in gray. So today's that alternate account got triggered today with that early rally, but we sold off that rally again in pretty reasonably strong fashion. So what I was looking at last night was the possibility that this was an expanded flat wave 4. So 3 waves down A, 3 waves up B, 5 waves down in C of 4. If that's the case, today's rally looks to have completed wave 5. We've broken, right now we're down at the level of that previous wave 4. So fingers and toes crossed that we're now moving down into a possible wave 1 down. If that's the case, we should see a retracement of all of this wave 5, which would be here. This 5th wave here, we should see a retracement of that in wave 1 down. Breaking that low there at 3180 would be icing on the cake. So let's see how that develops next week. We want to see 5 waves down. It seems to be that the strength of the decline this evening points to an impulsive decline. So let's see how that develops later on. I don't think, in general, I think the most important level is that 3180 level at the moment, and that would signal a kind of head and shoulders top developing. So we'd have 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, creating a nice kind of topping pattern. Ooh, this is getting interesting, actually. So let's see how that develops. If we get an early lower high on Monday or Tuesday, that might indicate wave 1 and 2, and then an acceleration in selling in a third wave would be expected by middle next week. So 3180, 5 waves down. You know the deal. Okay, so we have silver moving higher today, and we had a possible completed pattern in at I think it was that Wednesday's low or early Thursday's low, and for the moment we seem to be corroborating that completed correction. So I do like the fact on the 4-hour chart that we've bounced off that 200 MA, haven't we? And we're now moving higher above the 50 MA again. So longer term, we're still looking fairly bullish. This could be a fifth wave up in a first wave. So if you can quantify that, we've got wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and then off that wave 4 low, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this could be wave 1 and 2 of 5. Okay, so let's get into the hourly chart. So here we have wave 1 and 2 of 5, and if this decline is a second wave, then you would expect it to break out into 3 waves, and we seem to have that pattern in place. So you can count this a few different ways, but wave C itself seems to be in 5 waves down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very slight new low. We broke slightly below that 50% retracement at 1767, so we hit a low at 1759, and now we're moving higher again today. So this interim wave B high, it was kind of a double top there at 1816. If we get a push above that in 5 waves, so you could be talking wave one of 3 developing now, and this could be wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If that happens, whoop-de-doo, wouldn't that be fantastic? 5 waves up in silver would indicate that wave 3, this larger wave 3 here in green, was underway. So next week we're looking tentatively quite bullish, with the outlook for an impulse wave, so a 5-3 impulse wave developing over the next week or so, which would point higher into wave 3. Okay, into bonds. Bonds seem to be, defying all the odds right now, and we're rallying again. We did break to a slight new high today, so that kind of ruled out the previous 1-2 pattern. The problem I'm having here is this spike lower here it was nothing but impulsive. Like that's a 5-wave move if I ever saw it. So that indicated that we were turning down into wave 3, and we got a corrective move off that low. So been a bit of a head scratcher that why we've rallied so much, but it must be within a larger second wave, which is what I'm kind of allowing for right now. This is a complete, screwball of a pattern that's happening right now, because we've had so much overlapping, we've had so much internal 3-wave patterns that it's very hard to kind of discern a clear pattern in there. But I'm going to try and do that. Usually, what happens when when the waters get murky like this is we won't be able to discern it until the damn thing is finished. So that's kind of been my experience. This alternate account here is obviously gone now because we broke to a new high just as I've been speaking to you. So we're just have to track this topping pattern again in wave C of 2, and then work down into wave 3 again next week sometime. The kind of interplay between the stock market and the bond market is continuing today, obviously, with some selling in stocks. People obviously want to buy into bonds immediately, second that happens. I don't know why you'd want to do that, though, because bond markets is such a shit show itself, so it is. Okay, so if we're topping out in a second wave, which I think we are, I'm just going to have to wait for a bearish impulse wave to develop off that high again, which will be most likely in a 1-2 pattern at a higher degree. So let's move the waves a little bit. Possible wave 1 down, wave 1 and 2 is what I'd be looking for next week. Okay, so I'm going to have to hold my horses on this one. If bonds are going to move lower, they have to indicate that with 5 waves down. So let's see how that plays out next week. This evening's high has broken out the previous two interim highs. We're hitting that resistance at 130 again. The next level up of resistance would be at 130.47. So we'll mark that as the next significant level of resistance anyway. And early next week, we should probably look for some sort of reaction off that 130.47 high. And if we do get a kind of an impulsive reaction or 5 waves down off that high, that'd be a pretty good indicator that we're turning again. Okay, that finishes it. That's the video done. I hope that you found that interesting and useful, as they say. And we're going to hit back at it again next week on Monday. Enjoy your weekend. Have a good one. God bless you all. We'll see you on the Monday evening. Godspeed. Bye-bye.